It doesn't fit. Time to start all over. Stupid mistake. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, recently my life got a lot easier. My kids got a lot more independence, and we had a lot more time on our hands. So we decided that we should go do something crazy and get one of these. So that's a puppy. So puppies are great because, as you can see, she smells like wet dog right now from the snow. She gives great puppy kisses. She's a wonderful cuddler. She pees in the house, and there's always give and take with a puppy, but one thing that really drives me crazy is that in our living room is where her cage is, and you get that ugliness of a cage in your living room. What I want to do in this video is I want to cover that cage up, because anything that falls on top of the cage is lost forever in the abyss. Because she, where'd she go? Oh, running away. Because she will eat it. So in order to protect her from eating things she shouldn't eat and protect us from losing things like my mind, what we are going to do is we are going to build a table that will fit over the top of that cage. And that is actually going to mimic the design that I have on the end tables that I built last year. There's a video on those. Please check that video out. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get dusty. First things I need to work on is going to be the top. Now, to do that, it's all going to be a 2x top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of 2x12s, cut them down, and then take a 2x4, I think, for just a little bit, because I'm going to go a little bit wider than that. And what we got to do is we cut them on the chop saw first, get them down manageable lengths. I'm going to cut this over length so I can cut it down together when it's all glued up. And then as soon as I got them all chopped up on the chop saw, I have to go back through, and all the boards come with those roundovers on all the corners. So I'm going to take those roundovers off with the table saw, just remove just minimal material so everything will sit together nice and square. Let's jump into this. So this is going to hands down be the biggest glue up, the biggest top I've ever done. And I don't want to just put glue in the seams and glue it together like I've always done, because I feel like this much weight needs a little more in there. So what I'm going to do is something I've never done, and I'm actually really excited to use this. I bought this a long time ago. I'm actually going to use a doweling kit to dowel this together. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to drill holes in one side of the material here, and then you drop these little markers into those holes, and then you kind of get it lined up, and you kind of sandwich them together. And then what that does is that transfers over where you want to drill the other holes, and you put these wooden dowels in there and glue it all together and clamp it. So that is what I'm going to attempt to do for the first time in my entire life. I have the little metal transfer pin things in. I don't know how you're really supposed to do this, so I'm going to hit it with a hammer. I got everything lined up, flattened where I wanted. Alright, we got little transferred marks, so now I just go to those transfer marks and drill holes. So I got all of my holes drilled. I'm not 100% sure this is going to work exactly as beautiful as I want. I know normally when you're doing like this, like you want to run things through like a joiner, and then when it's all done you can run it through a planer. I don't have a joiner or a planer, so this is like a one shot thing. So if I'm way off of there, I do have a hand planer. Never used it. We may be going into a whole new territory on this one, but it's exciting. So I'm just going to try not to screw this up. So this morning I came into the shop to get this thing out of clamps and see how it did. When I came in, I noticed that there was a clamp on the floor. So one of my squeeze crab clamps that was keeping these two boards lined and not offset was on the floor. So I have a big giant boop-a-doop right here. Now I think like I can make it work, but I am gonna have to try my hand planing. Never done this before. My planer I inherited from my grandpa like 20 years ago. I've never used it. I don't know if it's sharp. I've never done anything like this, but let me show you what I'm trying to work around. Normally what I'll do is I'll just sand this thing, but this has got a pretty big offset here, so I'm going to try to get that lip out with the hand planer. Again, I've never, oh, this side's even worse. Yeah, I've never done this. My doweling must not have lined up correctly. But we're gonna attempt a hand planing for the first time in my life. Now I have everything basically cut out. I'm still missing the X's, but I'll cut those out later on when everything's assembled. So I got the legs cut and sanded, and then I got all these cross pieces. So now what I gotta do is I gotta go through and put about 5,000 pocket holes in all of these cross pieces. So let's just get to pocket holing. And now we just put it all together. I'm going to use these as spacers to get underneath because I'm not going to run any of these flat. I want to run these in the middle like this, not up or down all the way flat. So I'm going to use these as my spacers in the bottom. It's going to be just grab, glue, screw, glab, glue, glab, glue, screw, glab, glue, screw. So now I got the two sides done, so I want to make them meet with these two cross pieces. So all I did is I put my little clamp there to hold it up for me. Just going to do the exact same thing, so screw in here. I'll do this end, I'll do the top, and then I'll grab the other one, because then the other one I can use the clamp on also. Again, using all of my spacer blocks to make everything lined up beautifully. I find spacer blocks are a lot easier and faster to use than measurements. So let me talk you through on how I do these X's, because they're terrible for me and I hate doing them, but I do quite a bit of them. So the way that I do it is I mock it up here. I've got it obviously clamped up, and I got it clamped from top corner to bottom corner. I've just eyeballed to see where I want to get it. Then all I do is I just go back through, and I run that line to mark on the back of this board where the flat side of this board goes. Then I unclamp it, bring it over to the chop saw, and I choppy the lines that I need, and normally they're both different angles. So now I'll do that, and I always go big because you can always cut down. I haven't figured out how you can stretch wood yet, but once you figure that out, let me know. So I'll do that, and then I'll get them to be an X form. Okay, so what you're gonna do now that you got your X's kind of mocked into place, just go through and just doot, 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 doot. Then what I do is I'll take them off, actually removing that material, and this material, and then what I'll do is I'll bring it over to the table saw. I'm basically going to dado out the inside of there. I'm going to go halfway through, and then I'll do the same thing on this side, so then when you butt them up together, they'll be nice and beautiful. So I don't have one of them fancy dancy track saws, so this is what I do. So unfortunately now with this top, the next thing that I have to do, and actually it's with everything, because everything has been assembled, is I have to sand everything down, which is my least favorite part of anything. Well, that or painting. I hate both of them pretty much a lot. So we're going to sand this down. I'm going to start off with the belt sander on this with a low 60 grit because there's a lot of crap in this, and my hand planing didn't really do very well. It left a lot of gouges, so I'm going to try to knock it down a lot with the 60 grit, and then I'm going to work my way up to probably a 220 grit with the actual DA sander. So that's going to be really boring for you guys, but guess what? We can speed things up with technology. And we're back to stuff that I've never done before. So I don't like this seam that was in here. I'm gonna fill this with epoxy. I've never done this before, but I've seen it, so you know it's about the same thing. All I did was I just took some 5-minute epoxy. I added some pigment to it. I believe it was like a dark bronze because I didn't want to look for the black. I'm just gonna kind of try to get it into the crack. We're just going to spread it right in the crack. Try to dig it right in there, right deep into the crack of it. I don't know if this is going to add any kind of extra support to the thing itself, but it's at least going to make it look better. Everything is now sanded in. I know you didn't see me sand this, but I promise I sanded it. I know sanding is super boring to do, so to watch is painstakingly, so I skipped that part for you. You are welcome. Now that brings us up to, we gotta throw some color on this thing. Now, I picked up this whole gallon of paint from Menards in the mist tint section, and it looks to me like that's a white. I'm gonna assume it's a white, and we're gonna paint it. Hopefully it's white. Got this for $9. That is a steal. I paid for it. That's a steal. So let's slap some color on this bad boy. Now that while we wait for the paint to dry here, we turn our attention back over to the top. We're going to throw some dark walnut mid-wax stain on there, pretty that up, and then once that's dry, we will then put some clear on that. I won't show you that part. You'll probably get to see it all done in a second, but painted, stained it, let's go. Alright, right now I'm just putting on the third and final coat of the Minwax Hellsman urethane. I'm just putting it on with the brush. Like I said, this is the third and final coat. The way I do it is I do like a medium coat on there, and then once that dries is I'll take 220 sandpaper and just very lightly I try to knock off all of the boogers off of it and make it almost really smooth that way. Then I do another coat, same process, sand in between. I usually do about 3 to 4, maybe even 5 coats, depending on how it's coming out. And I go a little thicker as each coat progresses. I don't really tell you this in more detail because, like I said, I've been asked numerous times about how I get that to turn out. So I use that spar urethane, and yeah, that's it. So we're going to finish this one up. I'm going to finish brushing this on. We'll let it dry, and then we'll put the top on, and we'll see if it fits. It doesn't fit. I know what I did, and here's where I screwed up. So as you can see, right over in here, and then right over in here, I made it as wide as it needed to be. I didn't take in consideration the thickness of the legs. So the entire thing, including the top, is not going to be usable. Time to start all over. I've got not a ton of time into this, but I've got like this top took 3 days to finish because I had to wait for everything to dry. So I'm out all the money for all the wood, all the top. I think I can reuse the sides. I think I can break them off and just have to remake that back portion and the top. Bumming pretty hard about this. This was a stupid mistake I made. Nothing else to do but fix it. I thought about not even putting this part in the video and just pretending like this didn't happen, but oh well. Luckily, next time you'll see this, I'm not going to film any of that. You'll just see it fixed, so. And that's going to wrap this project up. Obviously, I'm behind now since I had to rebuild basically the entire thing. I have an extra top to do something with now, so figure out what I'm going to do with that. But it looks a lot better having that decorative table around it, and things can't fall into the abyss, and just, it's better than having cardboard on top of it. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and guess what? Promise, see you on the next one.